Welcome to Boozy Movies, where watching movies and making drinks is what we do.
Exactly. Everyone, today we are going to grab our axes and we have 2 cocktails for the movie The Shining. How does that sound?
Well, that sounds fine to me.
In The Shining, family bonding reaches new heights when a struggling writer drags his wife, son, and imaginary friend Tony to an isolated hotel for some quality winter downtime. Watch as cabin fever, ghostly bartenders, and a possessed hedge maze work wonders for their relationship.
So this is a classic film. It's one of my favorites. I've watched it over and over again looking for deeper things. And to do that, sometimes you need a few cocktails. And the more cocktails you have, the more you see. So that's why we have 2.
How do you think you can handle that?
The first cocktail is from probably the most famous quote in the movie, and that is, "Here's Johnny."
The second cocktail, based on the supernatural hotel, the Overlook. Really tasty.
Anything you say.
All right, so I think it's time to start making a couple of cocktails, and we're gonna start with "Here's Johnny."
For Here's Johnny, you're gonna want some spiced rum, peach schnapps, Campari, Grenadine, Aquafaba or egg white, and ground cinnamon.
In a shaker tin, we're gonna combine 1.5 ounces of spiced rum, a 1/2 ounce of peach schnapps, a 1/2 ounce of Campari, 1/2 ounce of Grenadine, and 1 ounce of Aquafaba. Add some large ice, a spring, more large ice, cover, and shake vigorously for 30 seconds. We're gonna double strain into a coupe while saying, "Here's Johnny." We're gonna place a Hicks hexagon stencil on top and garnish with cinnamon powder. Here's Johnny! That's right, look at this drink. Now, before I sip, we definitely have to pay attention to the fine work that you did on the top here.
Well, it's cinnamon, and it's in the Hicks hexagon, which is the pattern on the carpet that Stanley Kubrick insisted putting in the film. And there's like, if you watch the documentary on this film,
Room
there's
237.
Yeah, there's like all sorts of stuff that people think.
It isn't real.
Also, a little known fact, in Toy Story, Sid's house has the same carpet in it, and that was a nod to Stanley Kubrick from the director
That is pretty
of
cool.
Toy Story.
Pretty cool that they do that, especially in like a kid's movie.
Yeah, and it just adds to the creepiness of Sid's house, right?
A little bit, yeah, absolutely. Okay, is it okay if I ruin the carpet?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Here's to 5 miserable months on the wagon.
As you can see, I resisted the urge of doing a red rum drink.
How could you?
Because everybody has one.
Except that it's red and there's rum in it. So, no, you didn't.
Well, what do you think of this one?
I love it.
What I like about a little bit of the cinnamon on top, it has a little bit of this bitterness to it. Like the rum, I think the Aquafaba in there is really helpful for kind of laying the foundation of the cinnamon.
That's swell.
There's also bitterness in the back end. You're gonna feel it or taste it in like the back of your palate. That comes from the Campari.
That's right.
And then the peach schnapps and the cinnamon just are like a match made in heaven,
Awesome.
as
Love it.
everybody knows.
I don't think you are aware how great it is.
It all just like plays really well together.
Yeah, I like the cinnamon and the spiced rum. All right,
yeah.
That's really a fun kind of mixture too.
You know what I'm talking about, don't you?
If you are making this for like a watch party and you really want that red, unfortunately you have to go with like the horrible Grenadine Red 40 version.
We do prefer homemade Grenadine. I prefer the flavor. In fact, it's just got, it's lighter, it's a little bit more citrusy, of course.
So speaking of the carpet, I think we should move on to cocktail number 2.
Yes, equally possessed, the Overlook.
For this cocktail, we are going to be using Rumplemintz, a Kirsch liqueur, gin, Cointreau, rosemary simple syrup, Saline, a rosemary sprig, and a lemon peel.
Prepare a rocks glass with a side of salt to look like snow. Crush ice and slope it towards the salt side of the glass. In a mixing glass, combine 1 ounce Rumplemintz, 1 ounce Mount Rigi, 1.5 ounces of gin, 1/2 ounce of Cointreau, 1/2 ounce of rosemary simple syrup, and a dropper of Saline. Add mixing ice and stir until chilled. Strain into the prepared rocks glass. Garnish with a lemon spritz and tuck in with a rosemary sprig.
And here is the Overlook. Looks pretty intimidating, kind of like the Overlook.
All that snow was part of the factor, which is why we have Rumplemintz in there. It's out in the woods.
I don't think that's true.
You get that sort of pine flavor with the rosemary syrup, also the rosemary itself, and even I love the lemon peel and the citrus. Just it just adds to sort of that freshness that we really wanted to capture in this drink.
And it's all balanced out with that Kirsch liqueur, which is a white cherry liqueur. The orange and the cherry, even though you don't distinctly taste them, they bring together that mintiness and the rosemary together so that it doesn't come off too medicinally.
Yeah, I feel like that citrus flavor, really the Cointreau and the Kirsch liqueur kind of rounds out the Rumplemintz. A lot of times when you have Rumplemintz, boom, that freshness, it hits you right in the face. It can be a little shocking.
You've got a big surprise coming to you.
It lingers there for a bit, but then you kind of, it flows into the Cointreau and the Kirsch liqueur really, really nicely. This is absolutely one of my favorite drinks that you have come up with. And I really love the ice, how it's kind of at an angle, because it's sort of fitting with the scene towards the end of the film where there's the bathroom window and there's that huge slope of snow that goes right up to it. I don't know, I forget if that was intentional or that was a fun mistake.
It was an accident.
So let's bring it back in our Here's Johnny. Look at that carpet is still, I'm not gonna tip it too much, but it's still holding up. Look at
Yeah.
that. Which one would you like to sip on?
I'll stick with this one.
Orders from the house.
This is a classic film, Stanley Kubrick, Jack Nicholson, really intense, really dramatic. When it came out, it may have been a little confusing, but over the years, you know, as you've said, there's sort of this mythology around it, around the hotel, around the movie. Is there a deeper meaning? These cocktails definitely add to that experience.
There's nothing I look forward to with greater pleasure.
How do you think the movie held up to time?
I think it's really held up.
I'm sorry to differ with you, sir.
From a filmmaking perspective, it's hard because Kubrick is just so good with the camera, so good with his editing.
Thank you for saying so.
The music is that opening shot, right? Is just so classic.
I think this is one where like the music really does kind of make the movie. We were just listening to the soundtrack. There's a lot of eerie sounds. The composers did a really good job of combining electronic and acoustic instruments to develop this really creepy sense. Even kind of the more upbeat song in that entire soundtrack is still a bit creepy. So speaking of Kubrick movies that have stood the test of time,
He's got a few, and we might, just throwing that out there, might have one more on the way, maybe even this month. Who's to say? I don't know. So I think we should raise our glasses. You guys at home should make these drinks, put on a little Shining, and just enjoy the film. All right, until next time, cheers.
cheers.
I don't want to do it because I didn't want to.
She laughs to herself all day long. It's really funny.
If he lives in his mouth, why does he have to move his finger when he talks?
I don't know.
Okay, just wondering.